Hi, I'd like to introduce myself to you. My name is Aranka, and by the way, I'm sure you probably have never heard that name before. It's Hungarian. My mother is Hungarian, and my dad's background was French. I was born in Europe in the middle of the Second World War, and I grew up over there. I stayed there until I was 15. When I was my mom used to tell the story, and I think I must have been about 9 or 10. Somebody asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? And my mother said, I immediately said, I'm going to be a Weltbummler, which is a globetrotter. So for years, I had a list of all the places I wanted to go. One was Nepal, because rhododendrons are from there. And by the way, Bremen, where I grew up, has the largest rhododendron park in Europe. Anyway, I went to Nepal with my husband. We trekked to Jomson and then up to Muktinath, where I wanted to plant a tree in a memorial garden. I got very sick once we got up there. I had a terrible nosebleed and my chest was really getting congested. We then figured out that we could not continue the trek. We needed to go back the way we came. And by the time we got back to Jomson, stayed there for a few days, it was determined that I had pneumonia and I was supposed to be airlifted to Kathmandu, and I said, no way, I'm not doing that. I'm not that sick. I can still walk. Let's go a few miles every day back to Marpa. We had stayed there on the way up. It was a little tea house, and I loved the young woman that ran it. She was the daughter of the owners. Even though we couldn't really talk to each other, our guide would translate, and Subarna wanted me to come back so we could go get on horses and ride into Mustang. It was a great plan, but we never did it. After a few days of her nursing me back to health, we finally went back to Pokhara, where I told my husband that he should take the guide and the Sherpa and go to the Annapurna Sanctuary, and I would remain in Pokhara to recover. Well, I was in this beautiful little guest house that had spectacular gardens, and I would go up on the roof every morning. I would see the sun come up over, all these mountains that were over 20,000 feet. It was just glorious. And that's when I realized, okay, this is a good time for me to finally start writing my book. I had long thought about writing about my childhood. And so I wrote about almost 25 short stories. And this was over 20 years ago that I wrote it. But when we came back to California, my regular life set in. I was working and I set it aside. And I've now decided that it's been too long that I started this. And so therefore, we're going to do little videos once a month where I will read you one of my little short stories. So until then, the first story will be on YouTube in about 2 or 3 weeks. So until then, I will say toodaloo, and once you read the first story, I would really love to hear from you.